everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to Mystical Munchies featuring the Star Wars Galactic Baking cookbook. The Padres puffs turned out to be really good last week as the appetizer, so now we're on to the side, Puffer Pig Pocket Pizza. First up, let's tell the story. Puffer pigs grow to more than 3 times their size when frightened. These puff pastry pockets stuffed with pork sausage and 2 kinds of cheese do the same thing when baked to crispy, melting deliciousness. Serve with warm pizza sauce for dipping. Well, let's find out how good they are, because as usual, the ingredients are waiting at the table, so let's head in that direction. You're probably going to hear the oven chirping in the background. I just started preheating to 400 degrees, and we need to bring one more ingredient in shot. There we go. Alright, so we need, for this recipe, we need 2 large eggs, a tablespoon of water, a pound of Italian pork sausage, crumbled, cooked, crumbled, and drained. It's cooked and crumbled, but Johnsonville sausage usually doesn't kick up much grease, so I'm not too worried about that part of it. A cup each of ricotta and mozzarella cheeses, which the cup will not quite end up being this whole thing, but it might be easier to just dump the whole thing in. A teaspoon of Italian seasoning. I've got the pizza and pasta magic that I used for the Padres puffs last week, in case I don't have enough, plus I picked up a fresh container of Italian seasoning at the grocery store, so I should be fine there. Half a teaspoon of salt, some all-purpose flour, a package of puff pastry, which I've got thawing, and the aforementioned package of 15-ounce container of pizza sausage. We'll warm that up later. With that, let's move into the kitchen and start putting this recipe together. The first official step on the recipe is line 2 large rimmed baking sheets with parchment paper. There are 2 reasons I'm not going to do that on camera. One, I've only got one baking sheet, but it's actually a pretty big sheet, so it should be fine. And 2, I'm pretty sure most of you can figure out how to line a baking sheet with parchment paper. If you can't, well, I hate to say it, but you kind of need help I can't provide. Anyway, with that minor comment out of the way, what we are going to do is we're going to take our cup, we're going to take a coffee cup here, we're going to take one of the eggs, crack it in carefully. Garbage, and then we're going to grab a tablespoon of water. I'm actually going to bring the egg over to the sink with me. Turn this on carefully. There we are. Tablespoon of water. The tablespoon can go straight in the dishwater. Then we'll bring the cup back over, whisk it together. We'll whisk it up a little bit more, but what we're ending up with is an egg wash that we can put aside for later. So with that, next we need a medium bowl in shot. The oven's still chirping away, so while it's still chirping away, we're going to go ahead and make the filling. So now in our aforementioned medium bowl, we're going to combine the sausage, so assuming we can get it in here without any huge problems, make too much spillage. Oop. A little bit there, trying to scrape it up, but not too bad. Pan can hit the dishwater to soak. Okay, so there's the sausage. We'll bring in the ricotta cheese. I think we'll just dump the whole thing in rather than try to measure out a cup of it. I may need to go to a scraper of some kind to get most of it out. but I think we can deal with that. These will be a little bit cheesier than intended, but the world won't end. Okay. I'm not going to do too much scraping on that, though, just because I took some liberties, well, some liberties, he says, with the amount of ricotta I put in there. And I'll grab the mozzarella cheese. There we go. I was having some problems getting it open for some insane reason, but we got it. Let's see, how do I want to pour this? I think we're going to pour it over to the side. Cheese is generally a dry ingredient, so I'm less worried about pouring it on a counter than I would be pouring liquid. Okay, that looks pretty good. It's a little bit heaping, but see previous comment about where I live and liking cheese. That can hit the dishes. Alright, the other egg, which we've got right here. The egg container can hit the bin as well. The Italian seasoning, which, like I said, I'm substituting pizza and pasta magic in for that. Besides, it's called Puffer Pig Pocket Pizza. It would feel weird if I wasn't using some kind of pizza seasoning in there. And the last part here is the half teaspoon of salt. Now, is there a consistency here, or is it just mix away? Looks like just mix away. So, here we go. Once again, kind of a weird shot that's hurting my arm a little bit, but no help for that. Fortunately, it doesn't seem like it's taking long. I think we've got that. Ow! Felt something crack in my hand. Okay, I think we got that pretty well mixed up there, so we can put that to the side as well, and we'll bring the bowl out of shot. Now's the part where it's going to get interesting. So, the next thing we're going to do is we've got a work surface prepared here that we're going to go ahead and sprinkle with some flour. Okay, we'll spread it around a little bit to give myself some more coverage. There's the oven coming up to temperature. Okay, I think we're pretty much good there. I'll run my hands in the dishwater real quick. All right, now we're going to take one of the pastry sheets. once I get this blasted box of puff pastry open. I must have bought 2 of these when I had the... I think I bought 2 of these when I had the when I had the stuffed chicken sandwiches from a while back out of the Cooking with Wizards and Warriors cookbook that we did back in February, I believe it was. I bought 2 thinking I needed 2, but it turned out I had an extra one. So we've got our first sheet of the puff pastry, which we're unfolding quite nicely here. Okay, cool. That can drop on the work surface now. The rest of that can hit the bin. You are going nowhere, and I'd rather you not get contorted on me. That's the other puff pastry sheet I'm cussing and swearing about. So now we've got it into a 12-inch square that we've rolled. Next, we're going to cut it into 4 pieces. One of these knives should do just fine for the job. So we'll just take it down in half. And in half again. Separating them nice and easy as you please. Okay. There we go. Nice and clear there. We're going to brush the edges of each square with the egg wash. That's the first one. My guess here, given looking ahead in the recipe, my guess is this is supposed to act as something of an adhesive to help seal everything up. In fact, it's kind of reminding me a little bit of... I played a game called Praga Kaput Regni once. That was all about building Prague. And they actually had a mechanic in there where you could use and I think it was gather eggs. That you could use. I think it was gather eggs to use on one of the bridges there. And I remember thinking that was really weird and seemed really random. Then I remarked on it, so we all looked it up, and sure enough, apparently eggs were really used in the construction in Prague. Anywho. So yeah, that was a thing. Now we're going to place a cup of each filling in the center of each of those squares. This seems like it's going to be a lot more than a... Okay. So we've got that there. This here. This seems like it's going to waste a lot of filling, unless I'm crazy. I mean, it's possible with the... Come on. There we go. It's possible that these pastry sheets were actually a little bit smaller than I was expecting them to be. So now we're going to fold the pastry over the filling to form triangles. I'm going to fold this one like so. These are not going to close. I think these are going to end up being way too small from the looks of it. Well, maybe it'll work out in the end. I can hope anyway. Alright, so I'm crimping the edges shut. And I believe we want to pinch them with a fork. Which I've got the fork right over here. Which I remember we had to do the same thing when we were making the aforementioned chicken sandwiches back in February. Then along with the fork, also with the fork, we're going to we're going to prick each pastry to allow steam to escape. So we're going to prick there. We're going to prick it in a couple places. Alright, that's the first one done. And you guys know I don't tend to like to bore you guys when I do this repeatedly. So I'm going to do the rest of these off shot, and then we'll come back to look at the finished product before they go in the oven we've been preparing. But before I turn the camera off, I'm going to give my hands a quick rinse. And we'll be back probably in about, I would say, we'll be back whenever these are done. So it turns out I made a small blunder on the recipe, but I don't think it'll impact anything at the end. So I was supposed to brush the outside of the pastries with the remaining egg wash, but of course I poured it off already so I could put the stuff from the egg wash into the dishes. Whoops, I don't think it'll impact anything too much though. Anyway, now we're going to put these in the oven for 20 minutes or until they're golden brown. So we'll come back in about 20 minutes when these are out of the oven. Not having the egg wash to brush on the outsides of the pastries didn't really cause us too many problems, I don't think. Everything still looks pretty good here. So we're going to go ahead and plate a couple of these, and then I'll meet you guys along with the pizza sauce over at my desk for the taste test. I did grab a fork as well for the taste test, but I don't think I'm going to need it. These were at least cool enough to handle, so we shouldn't have any problems there. But what we are going to do is dip one of these in the pizza sauce and see what I think. So here we go.
Sorry, I don't understand.
Shut up, Siri.
Okay.
Interruption from Siri notwithstanding, these actually turned out to be really good, and I think I've got myself an early lunch here. I'll probably keep the rest of them as leftovers, but that's another episode of Mystical Munchies in the books. Next week we'll be making the entree, Fallon Posset cheese stuffed sandwich. As for the games, tomorrow we're continuing the spring campaign in Arkham Horror, the card game, with the third scenario for the Dreamers, as they venture to the dark side of the moon. As for Wednesday, we're playing APA Baseball, using the Paul Marino boards to see what I think of those. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.